From the Four Seasons Hotel in Sydney, Australia, it's the 20th Annual Ethnic Business Awards, brought to you by NAB, Telstra, Etihad Airways, Austrade and MBF. With your Master of Ceremonies for the evening, Ms. Tracy Spicer.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'd like to acknowledge the Cadigal people, the first people of this land. Before I formally open proceedings and welcome all of our distinguished guests, let's take a moment to place this evening in context. Tonight is the 20th time these awards have been presented, believe it or not. Each year, they've gone from strength to strength. Each year, nominations have grown in both number and diversity. And each year, the decisions that our esteemed judges have had to make have become just that little bit more difficult. The Ethnic Business Awards are now the longest-running televised business awards in Australia and are recognised as one of the most prestigious recognitions of commercial endeavour in the country. Clearly, these awards have come a long way from humble beginnings, just like the people whose endeavours it celebrates. And that's what this evening is all about. It's about people who've come to a new land, seeking out new opportunities, overcoming obstacles, shouldering aside difficulties, and eventually succeeding, sometimes beyond even their own hopes and expectations. We are here tonight to celebrate that contribution, not just for this 20th year, but for the years that have gone before and those that are yet to come. And what a contribution it is. Prime Minister Kevin Rudd, honourable members of Parliament, dignitaries, sponsors, members of the media, guests, and of course all our finalists. Tonight it is my very great pleasure to welcome you to the grand ballroom of the beautiful Four Seasons Hotel located here on the foreshore of Sydney for this, the 20th Annual Ethnic Business Awards. Now, the occasion of these 20th awards coincides with the release of a book by the founder of the awards, Mr. Joseph Asif. This isn't a plug, there's no pecuniary interest register here. Joseph, in fact, didn't even know that I was going to mention this. But the book, In Someone Else's Shoes, is an account of Joseph's own journey from the small town of Hardin in Lebanon to Sydney, Australia, literally in someone else's shoes, shoes that were borrowed to make the journey. It's also the story of how he subsequently built his own business here and was eventually able to buy a couple of pairs of shoes of his own. I mention the book because it's intended to be a parable that may be used to access and understand the Australian immigrant experience as a whole. Every 3 minutes and 11 seconds, a new migrant arrives in this country. None of those people come here without the hope of bettering themselves and, in the process, making a positive contribution to their adopted home. Some of them, like our finalists tonight, like Joseph himself, succeed beyond all hopes and expectations. But all of them strive. When you travel in someone else's shoes, the journey is hard, but it teaches you more, and it makes the arrival all that more fulfilling. This year, we've asked our judges to assess some remarkable and inspirational journeys. Each one reflects a different facet of the immigrant experience, just a part of a much greater whole. It's our hope that in recognising the few, we also honour the many. Let me introduce you to the people who've been charged with making this very difficult judgment. Don Argus is the chairman of BHP Billiton, the world's largest diversified resource company. Now, Don has a long-standing relationship with the Ethnic Business Awards. During his time as CEO and managing director of the National Australia Bank, Don offered his full support to ensure the continuing recognition of migrant contribution to Australia's economic development and to Australia's cultural and social fabric. Don is unfortunately unable to be with us tonight, but hey, he takes a great picture. Someone who can be here is professional director and business consultant Eve Crestani. Eve specialises in strategic project management and business solution implementation. She's chairman of Mercer's Trustee Company and a director of the Australian Unity Group, Pillar Australia and Booking.com. Following an enviable track record in executive management at the most senior levels in the finance sector, Eve has been instrumental in the development and implementation of critical strategies for many large organisations and e-commerce businesses. This is Eve's 10th year as a judge for the Ethnic Business Awards. Please make her feel welcome. Alan Ginchell is the Executive Director of the Lowy Institute for International Policy. He has a wide background in international policy making and analysis and has written and spoken extensively on Australian foreign policy, on Asian regional relations and on the development of global and regional institutions. He was later First Assistant Secretary in the International Division of the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet. From 1993 to 1996, he was Foreign Policy Advisor in the Office of the Australian Prime Minister, Paul Keating. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you. Dr. Ziggy Switkowski, a former Chief Executive of Telstra, Optus and Kodak Australasia, is currently a Non-Executive Director of Suncorp, Tabcorp, Healthscope and Opera Australia. In 2006, he chaired the Prime Minister's review of uranium mining, processing and nuclear energy, and is now the chair of the Australian Nuclear Science and Technology Organisation. And last, but by no means least, the lovely Gala Zampatti is one of Australia's fashion pioneers. Gala has been recognised with a number of Australian and international awards for achievement and excellence. She's also been named Bulletin Qantas Businesswoman of the Year and has been named Designer of the Year by Australian fashion industry circles. Gala has been a judge of the Ethnic Business Awards since its inception in 1988. Well, you don't get a much better bunch than that, do you? A special thank you to all of our esteemed judges for lending their time, their expertise and their ongoing support. Now, I know we're all going to have a fantastic evening tonight. Even our finalists are going to have a great evening, even though they're all incredibly nervous, biting their nails to the quick right now as they await the judges' findings. Very soon we'll get some idea of just how difficult a job those judges have had. We'll be taking a look at the nominees in the small business section of the awards. You are watching the 2008 Ethnic Business Awards.
When we return, we'll be taking a look at the nominees in the small business category of the awards. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage Ms. Tracy Spicer.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Now, I did promise you that we'd be taking a look at the nominees in the small business section of the awards, and we'll certainly be doing that. But first, we thought it might be appropriate, given that this is the 20th anniversary of the Ethnic Business Awards, to revisit some of the past successes, some of the winners from earlier years, some of the great stories that have moved us, that have uplifted us, that have left us amazed over the past 2 decades.
My name is Antonino Schiavello, but everyone called me Tony. My company name is Schiavello Group. My company does office fit-out, but does manufacturing of office furniture, supply and installation, and total office environment. I migrated from south of Italy, from the province of Vibo in the south of Italy, and migrated in 1956. I was a young boy, 17, but also there was not much opportunity in Italy, and for my father that he migrated here 12 months before me. Well, the effect on the business would have been exposure and creating more a brand to the name. I think that would definitely have been a big help to help the brand.
My name is Stefan, and our company's name is Stefan Hair Fashions. Our company is a hairdressing company, but with a difference. We like to think we are the best hairdressers trainers. We have 500 staff. We have lots of shops. We have 50 plus hairdressing shops. I migrated from a city called Batroun in Lebanon, and I migrated here, I think, in 1958. Why did I start my company? I guess as a kid, I knew I would have a business. Definitely made me feel very proud that I could be in such company, to be amongst the elitist people in the country, and it was a great achievement, great thrill, great whatever you want to call it, but it definitely was one of the highlights of my life. In fact, I have the plaque that I was awarded in my office.
I am David Chang from the Vietnamese daily newspaper, The Sunrise Daily. We win the Best Ethnic Media Award in 1993. Our families were refugees, migrating to Australia in early 1980 from South Vietnam. My father had been the chief editor of a Vietnamese daily newspaper in Vietnam, and he has always been a paper boy, and making up newspaper is like our family trade. So when we come to Australia, he see the market, we think that we can support and help our community here in time to come, and we see that's a good goal and good vision because our community have grown from a few thousand to hundreds of thousands these days. Our paper subsequently also win the Best Journalism for the New South Wales Consumer Protection Awards 2001, presented to us by the Department of Fair Trading. I think that the Best Ethnic Media Award has certainly helped to build up the high profile of our daily newspaper to many government departments and business enterprise, as well as making our communities very proud in contributing to the harmony of our multicultural Australian society. I sincerely thank the Ethnic Business Award and wish them all the best in the 20 more years of success in future to come.
They're beautiful stories, aren't they? Another person not featured in that piece also came from humble beginnings. Nobody needs to ask where he is now. He's always here, every year, lending his expertise and experience, pulling things together. The founder of these awards, he has, since he arrived in Australia wearing someone else's shoes, built a bridge of cross-cultural understanding that has helped to promote peace and tolerance amongst our nation's diverse communities. These awards are a testament to his ingenuity, creativity, persistence, and his belief in the core foundations of a multicultural Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage the founder and probably the biggest supporter of the Ethnic Business Awards, businessman, speaker, and now debut author, Mr. Joseph Asif.
Thank you, Tracy. To Prime Minister Kevin Rudd, to federal and state members of Parliament, to our distinguished members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, to our distinguished judges, finalists, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to our 20th Annual Ethnic Business Awards Gala Presentation Dinner. As Tracy said, we seem to get bigger and better every year. This year, we have had entrants from every single state and territory, representing 24 different cultural backgrounds. Our finalists hail from Victoria, South Australia, New South Wales, and the ACT. We celebrate their successes at a time when the global economy finds itself in crisis, when businesses are more likely to be downsizing than growing, when governments all over the world are busily trying to inject confidence into their national economy. In Australia, each year, our economy gets a very special injection. It comes in the form of a couple of 100,000 people, some of them in borrowed shoes, thanks Tracy for the plug, some of them with a fierce will to succeed. Sometimes they even bring an injection of capital too. But their input should not only be measured in direct economic terms. The advantages that they bring must also be measured in terms of their skills, their languages, their cultural diversity, their ideas. They also bring their own particular needs, and in developing the means of servicing those needs, they stimulate the internal economy and they create opportunities to export those ideas and commodities to the very places they have left. You know, this multicultural model could well serve as an example to world leaders as they continue to discuss the global economic crisis in which we now find ourselves. The vulnerability of a homogeneous international financial system has been vividly highlighted by current events. It seems to me that if you build a house of cards, all of the same suit, all in the same form, all carefully interlocked in the same ways, It only needs one card to fall for the whole thing to totter and possibly collapse. But in a multicultural model, where diversity is the watchword, where diverse solutions are sought through diverse means, the house of cards can be more robust. Our nominees and finalists continue to contribute to that process, and that is a part of the achievement that we celebrate tonight. Our finalists have been recognized in these awards and rewarded in the business community for embracing these opportunities with vigor, courage, and imagination. I wish them the very best for their continued success and, of course, in tonight's announcements. I know that there will be only one winner in each category. But as I have said before, I believe that every single one of these finalists, in having genuinely embraced the multicultural experience, are all winners. Thank you. And it is now my pleasure to introduce to you our guest of honor for this evening. We are honored to have him here tonight, celebrating the success of what built this country, migrants. Please welcome the Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd.
Thank you very much, Joseph. And to Your Excellencies, to the judges of these great Ethnic Business Awards, to Anthony Albanese, the Federal Minister for Infrastructure, to my parliamentary colleagues, both from the Federal Parliament and from the State Parliament, and to other distinguished guests here this evening. And I begin by acknowledging the first Australians on whose land we meet and whose cultures we celebrate as the oldest continuing cultures in human history. Tonight we're here to celebrate achievement. And tonight we're here also to celebrate achievement against the odds. And we're also here to celebrate achievement that has added to this nation, Australia's, great strength. And that is those who have achieved in this great field of business. As I was reflecting tonight on the work of Joseph Asaf, it in itself is a story which I think speaks to the heart of Australia. This book, In Someone Else's Shoes, is a great story writ large about the lives of so many who have come to this country from afar and made this country great. The story of a young Joseph, 40 years ago, lining up at the airport in Beirut as a young Lebanese who didn't even have the gumption to tell his parents that he was coming to Australia, and to discover at the airport that he had to have a new, clean pair of shoes in order to get past Australian customs and quarantine. And then, having been turned back the first time because the flight was cancelled, and gone back home to reappear on a subsequent day, and to be then told that the pair of shoes that he had had, which were then new and clean on the previous few days, were no longer new and clean. They had a bit of dust on them. And so he could not be allowed on the aircraft. Will enter into central casting some nameless Australian immigration official who shall be forever sainted, whoever he or she was. Because in the great spirit of Australia, and probably us being the convict colony, he resorted to sub-forms of felony instead to help the young Joseph out. He procured another pair of shoes. I didn't say nicked, he procured. Obtained is the neutral word. And having done so, provided the young Joseph with a new pair of shoes, tan in colour, Joseph's favourite colour. In fact, he hates tan. Twice the size of his normal size in shoe, and there he was allowed to board the aircraft and begin his new life in Australia. And so goes the circumstance and the happenstance of so many people who make their lives here in this great country of ours. Not just this century, not just the one that has passed, not even the one before that. So many different stories from so many parts of the world, each rich in its own depth and diversity, but each united in one thing, coming here to Australia not just to make a new life, but with a sense of determination to make that life an absolute success. The good thing about the Joseph story, though, is his reflections contained in this book, which hasn't been launched yet, but let me read you something from it. It's about what you pick up when you arrive here in Australia. And if there is a theme to this book, it seems to be that the great thing which has crafted his business career, but through it, what crafts the success of so many business careers here in this country, is not just a celebration of diversity, but the actual deployment of diversity in what you do in business and in life. He says here, "I enjoy the fruits of thousands of years of collective wisdom." That is an elegant phrase. He says also that from my own people, the Lebanese, or the ancient Phoenicians, I have learned how to learn from everyone else. If you know anything of the history of the Phoenicians and their role in the history of the Mediterranean, prior to the rise of the Greeks and prior to the rise of the Romans, the Phoenicians knew everybody, they knew everywhere, they knew every language, and so they traded. There's a great wisdom in the work and lives of the Phoenicians. And he says, coming from Lebanon, the land of the Phoenicians, I have learned how to learn from everyone else. He goes on to say, in a celebration of some of the cultures he encountered here down under, I quickly began to understand the culture of the Arabs. It was they who opened my eyes to the meaning of hospitality, that welcoming smile and that genuine desire to open one's heart and home to both friends and strangers. He speaks also of his second language, French. And with this linguistic tool, I was able to mix with a new set of friends who taught me a healthy respect for language. He then talks of his arrival and dealings with genuine Aussie mates who encouraged each other to be fair dinkum. I'm not sure what the ancient Phoenician for fair dinkum was, or what the Arabic term for fair dinkum is. But that became part of Joseph's experience. And then he speaks of his encounter with his wife, who is herself an Italian, Angela Bianca, he whom he describes, I think, in the introduction, as my angelic Bianca, or my white angel. And he says, while the Italians taught me about what it means to be passionate, indeed my wife Angela is Italian, and she taught me a lot too. And he says with some modesty, and not just about passion. What is nice about this book is that it is a story of reflection about one man's experience of arriving in these shores of Australia from distant shores and absorbing all that we had to offer in all of its diversity, and then adding some in new richness, in new depth, and new diversity. Which brings me to why we're here this evening. Each one of you, from whichever community from which you come, brings to this great land Australia something new and something different, something quite wonderful. I've often said, as someone who is 100% Anglo-Celtic, that were it not for the arrival of so many of the ethnicities represented in this room, this nation, in its 2nd century and its 3rd century, would have been condemned to a future based entirely on English cuisine. Could you think of a fate worse than death? But it is not just that. It is that what you bring to this country is a sense of determination to succeed, a sense that you will make not just a success for yourselves and your families, but a success for your new land, Australia. My family have been in this country since the days of the Second Fleet. But you know, with each group of Australians who arrive here, by boat, by plane, they bring something new, something special and something different, and something which then becomes quite uniquely Australian. You form such natural, wonderful, diverse, fluent, culturally sensitive human bridges to the rest of the world that you are for us an enormous national strength and one to be celebrated. And so in these days when we are confronted with the global financial crisis, becoming a global economic crisis, becoming in turn a global employment crisis, the passions and the talents and the abilities and the capacities of the women and men of commerce represented in this room becomes even more important for the nation and for its future. And so my invocation to each of you as men and women of Australian business is, as the days get harder, and they will, to draw on every element of the talent and the skill and the linguistic and cultural connectedness that you have to the rest of the world, to get out there and to work hard and to carry forward with confidence the great name of Australia in business. And I'm confident you will. For those of you who are here tonight as finalists in these Ethnic Business Awards, can I say, as Prime Minister of Australia, congratulations. Whether you win, whether you come second, whether you come third, congratulations. It is a great thing that you are here, because you represent the hopes of us all. I conclude with these remarks of the author, whose book has not been launched. This is it. He says, multiculturalism is not a passing fancy. It is not a hobby. It's not a government policy. It is not a nice thing to do or a marketing opportunity. Equally, diversity is not a choice. It is not an option. It is not a public relations exercise or an employee relations program. In Australia, diversity is a fact of life, and multiculturalism is a way of life. May it ever be so. I thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister Kevin Rudd, for those wise words. I'd now like to invite you again to listen to someone who is as excited about singing as Joseph and clearly the Prime Minister are about multiculturalism. Bringing a refreshing contemporary edge to some of the great standards, Alfio has toured in the US, Europe and Asia, has successfully released 2 albums, Tranquillita and Classic Rewinds, and now sings for us his own composition, Our Dream. Ladies and gentlemen, Alfio.
Imagine a world that would be heaven for you and for me. Creation is crying no more, no more the prisoner of war. Imagine that world it would be heaven for you and for me. Creation is crying no more, no need for tears anymore. Let's pray that one day we'll see that you were born just like me. No matter how near or how far, we'll know how fragile we are. I pray that one day there'll be no difference between you and me. Bring the world peace, joy, and love, sent on the wings of a dove. Come along now together, brothers, sisters, forever. Join in making our solid ground to be here now and forever. Imagine a world it would be, heaven for you and for me. Creation is crying no more, no more the prisoner of war. Imagine that world it would be, heaven for you and for me. Our picture so clear in your heart. Let the oceans be clear now as the rain breaks the drought. Together we'll reach for the stars. We have only to dream. This is all but our dream. Heaven for you and for me. Creation is crying no more, no more the prisoner of war. Imagine that world it would be, heaven for you and for me. Creation is crying no more, no need for tears
Wasn't that magnificent? Alfio and the MacDonald College Choir. Now, as promised, we'll learn something about our finalists this evening. Each year, the call for nominations for the Ethnic Business Awards goes out nationally. The criteria is simple. Applicants must have been born in a country other than Australia, and they must own and operate an outstanding small or medium to large business. The judges evaluate entrants with regard to ingenuity in the marketplace, obstacles and hardships overcome, growth, future profitability, contribution to community, and overall business acumen and success. And here they are, the finalists in the 20th Annual Ethnic Business Awards Small Business category. Originally from China, a finalist from Victoria, the HEMA Group.
HEMA Group is mainly in the international education business, plus the migration visa services. I come here in 1989 as an international student. The first came here, I got nothing but dream. When I arrived in the airport, no one picked me up. I don't know where I'm going to stay at that night. And whether I have a chance to see my parents in my rest of life. After 3 months after arrival, I had the opportunity to have a part-time job as contract working in the college, recruiting overseas students onshore and offshore for that college. In about 8 months' time, I have recruited about 200 students to that college. So my first biggest check I get is $34,000. Yeah, so at the time I have something in my mind. where I can establish my own business. And one day I read the newspaper and I find there's a figure about 3 billion revenue which is created by Australia education export. And I look at the whole of the market, how many company does this. Actually, it's not many professional firm does this. And then I set my names called Australia Asia, which is target to the Asian country, and combine the education and migration together. So the full name is called Australia Education and Migration Centre. In the next 6 months, I have expanded my business from my Melbourne head office to Sydney, as well as Brisbane. The Dream Overseas is one of the brand name, which is represent the Department of Education, university, TAFE, and private sector in Australia to promote their business and recruiting students to Australia. And the other brand name we have is Layers Education Group and McGill College, which is provide courses to overseas students. We are aiming to have next year have about 20 branch open in China. For Layers Education Group and the McGill College, we're going to add more courses to suit the market. Australia to me is fantastic, you know, and also it's a freedom. You know, you don't have you can have your dream come true. You can have your dream come true.
Originally from Italy, a finalist from New South Wales, Paysanella Cheese Manufacturers.
We still won an award this year for gold award for mascarpone, last year for gold award for ricotta. So every year we won award for best cheeses. While he came to Australia in 1956, he's come from family of cheesemakers from his mother's side. He was 16 years old when he started to make cheeses. But because here in Australia, nobody knew about ricotta or mozzarella, nothing about it, nothing.
The only cheese at the time was basically the pale yellow block, you know, cheddar cheese. And so what he started doing was he set himself up on the banks of the Hawkesbury River out at Windsor and started making ricotta using an old copper pot, using wood fire to heat the milk. Then it got to a stage where he was obviously caught out by the authorities, and they've said to him, look, Umberto, unfortunately you can't do what you're doing. So instead of giving you fines, we'll let you set up your business and start making it properly, in which he did. I mean, he really persevered. It was early starts, really late finishes.
And then after a little bit of time, they start to learn how to eat the cheeses. And now the business, the cheese, mozzarella, bocconcini, mascarpone, is one big thing in Australia.
And it was a very, very tragic for us. He actually died doing what he loved, just making cheese.
My husband introduced to Australia ricotta, mozzarella, bocconcini, mascarpone, and other cheeses.
He was making mascarpone back in 1960, 62. I mean, nobody knew mascarpone back then.
The way we used to make 40 years ago, we still make the same way. We still make the same way.
And I guess what's happened over the years is because people have become such aware of our name, we've been known as a very high quality product.
We sell at on the premises, and we sell to all supermarket, restaurant, delicatessen.
We're getting a lot of inquiries on the international circuit. A lot of Asian, Middle Eastern countries have been seeking our product. We're trying to develop ways of getting it there because it's a short shelf life product, and we want to try and send over the freshest product possible because all our products are made fresh and we don't add any preservatives or anything like that.
Australia is a beautiful country and give you a chance to do anything you want.
My father once said that Australia was the land of milk and honey, and I think it sums it up. It was such a country that gave such great opportunity for him. he's used that opportunity to create what he has created today.
Born in Thailand to Vietnamese parents, Luke Nguyen is a finalist from New South Wales with Red Lantern.
Red Lantern for me, when I open the doors, is still Red Lantern today. It's my dining room. You know, it's my home. You come in here, and the warmth and the professionalism and the hospitality is what I focus on. So for me, Red Lantern is very intimate, and it's a great dining experience. There's a lot of love here. We came to Australia in 1978. My father was a high-ranking officer in the Vietnam War, and when the South fell to the North, my parents felt there was no future for our family in Vietnam, and we knew the consequences of my father being caught. And so my father, at the time, with his best mate, built their own boat, and both families escaped, and we became boat refugees. We were put in a hostel in Villawood, where lots of Vietnamese immigrants came and were housed there. And my parents were, you know, washing dishes and trying to look after the kids, and were just waiting for an opportunity to get a job or to get a home. I had an idea and a dream and a concept, and I was sick of talking about it. You know, I want to open a restaurant. It's gonna be red, and it's gonna be vibrant. It's gonna be really cool, and it's gonna have this amazing food. And I kept talking about it. Whereas one day I just woke up and said, "Look, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Yes, I have no financial backers. I don't have that much money. What I do have is passion, love for what I do, and I'm just gonna do it." Actually, when I opened the doors in 2002, I had $100 left in the bank account. So if I didn't have bums on seats that night, I would have been in big trouble. And it was a manic kind of day. I didn't have enough money for the till, for the float. So it was a really crazy evening. But at the end of the day, we were like, wow, put the chairs up, we were full. The first year we opened, we won Best New Restaurant in Sydney. And we've won Best Asian Restaurant 3 years in a row now. And we won the third one, the hat trick, just a few weeks ago. So we're really ecstatic about that. And also Best Debut Writer for our first cookbook. My visions for the future, well, right now I'm working on my second book. So it's a travel cookbook through Vietnam. Eventually I want to open other little lanterns, you know, not big ones, but little enough so there is that intimacy that's still there, and that, you know, that attention to detail. Yeah, actually in January I'm going to Vietnam to do a travel cooking show through 10 different regions. I've come from a poor migrant family, and I've taken the passion of food, and that's all I have, and look where we are today, you know. It's a hard industry, as I've mentioned before, but you keep going because you love it. Passion is what we all have here at Red Lantern, and it really shows when you walk through the door, because there's a vibe and there's an energy that is quite special and unique.
Originally from Sri Lanka, a finalist from Victoria, SML Suppliers Australia.
SML mats, manufacturing rubber mats, industrial mats, safety mats, and agriculture mats. Since I start export, around 15,000 tons saved from Australian tips.
We had some political problem in my country.
97, around October, we went to see one of our workers' place, and we went there and we heard some dogs barking and noise outside the house. A lot of people coming with machine guns and weapons and like that. Then we heard some gunshots outside.
We were under fire, So then my husband took my hand and we ran away to the bush area.
Then we stayed there all night, and then next morning we went to police station.
We decided to leave the country. So then we come here.
Everything, business and family and friends, and we live here in us. Very sad, that, very sad.
At that time we had only $650, but we had courage. So when we came, my husband said, "Don't worry, I will find out a job."
I have experience with the rubber industry. Then I went to see rubber factories in Australia. When I entered the factories, I saw scrap rubber mountains waiting for the tip.
He said to me, "I find out gold," because he knows value of the goods.
And we export first 2 containers without orders. I took risk, but I succeeded.
Lucky, I call him lucky, my husband. Lucky, I'm lucky to find out lucky husband.
And then I got around $50,000 from that first shipments. So then I bought some recycling machinery, and then I processed rubber.
We are making doormat to industrial mat, agricultural mat, all kind of rubber mat.
This supply to big retailer in Australia, we call Clark Rubber, and we have agreement with them.
Day by day, we are increasing our customers. We have now regular customers, and now they know our product quality. Quality is the main important part, and we have planned to export finished product as well.
It's a great country, and if you have talent and courage, you can start business, and Australian government help you.
Well, what incredible stories. Let's hear it again, ladies and gentlemen, for all of our nominees. As Joseph so rightly pointed out, they're all winners. Tonight, we celebrate these business owners whilst also recognising the corporate and government partners who endorse and promote multicultural Australia. Our major sponsors include the NAB, who've been a sponsor since the inception of the Ethnic Business Awards 20 years ago. This year, the National Australia Bank, as Joseph mentioned earlier, is proudly joined by Telstra, Etihad Airways, Austrade, the Four Seasons Hotel Sydney, MBF, Astra Limousines, SBS, Australia Network, Aurora Community Channel, Singtao, Shujiung, Indian Link, Sydney Korean Herald, TVB Jade World and El Telegraph. To all of them, our sincere and deepest thanks. It's now my pleasure to speak with a representative of one of our principal sponsors, Etihad Airways. Please welcome Etihad's Regional General Manager for Asia Pacific South and Australasia, Mr. Kramer Ball. Etihad's relatively new in Australia. Tell us how you've been able to achieve such enormous success in quite a short period of time.
Well, we started in March 2007, Tracy, and the success of the airline has just been phenomenal. We've been embraced by the consumer, and I think our difference is not too much different to what our nominees tonight have. It's attention to detail. We're a new business, so we have no legacy systems, which means we can pave our own way. And one small factor, which is actually a big factor, and I'm sure it's very common amongst our successful businesses tonight, is that we don't treat customers as passengers. We actually treat them as guests.
And by sponsoring these awards, you're also supporting Australia's diversity and multicultural community.
Absolutely. And I applaud Joseph for the awards, and I think it's important. It's close to my heart and close to our business's heart. I mean, we have 116 or over 116 nationalities working for our business. So, we not only have the presence of many different cultures in our business, but we fly to over 50 destinations around the world and growing. So our ability to touch these businesses in moving the rubber mats or the cheese overseas is important. Our ability to bring those people who see the drive and the opportunity in Australia to this country is also very important. So I feel that our role in this awards ceremony is very, very important in touching all of those components.
Passion seems to be a theme here tonight, and Etihad's obviously passionate, and so are you. Mr. Kramer-Ball, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tracy.
Now, stick around. After this short break, we'll have the finalists for the medium to large business category. Stay with us.
When we return, we'll be taking a look at the nominees in the medium to large business category. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage Ms. Tracy Spicer.
The medium to large business category has seen some incredible finalists over the years. Tonight is no exception, and we'll meet with them shortly. But first, as part of this celebration of 20 years of similar successes, we've again asked the question, where are they now?
Hi, my name is Sue Ismail, and I'm the founder and the CEO of Sue Ismail and Daughters Group. We are better known as the NADS Girls. We manufacture the NADS products. We export them around the world. We have also entered other categories, and we are about to introduce a new product to the Australian market and to the world market. I built my business brick by brick from the ground up. And it's been an amazing experience. The highs and the lows of starting a business have been phenomenal for me. Winning an award is a tremendous honour. It validates your hard work, and you are presented with unlimited possibilities and endless opportunities.
I'm Anthony Curry. Our company is Beforia Australia. We manufacture handmade motor cars. I reckon they're the most beautiful handmade motor cars in the world. Our cars are going to go a long, long way. And in fact, we've sold the first one. It's the first $1 million motor car. We've already got the order for that and the deposit's been paid. I came to Australia with my parents in 1951. I was 3.5 years old at the time. It's a very difficult industry that we're in, and you're dealing with a myriad of very, very hard laws and regulations, and it's an extremely costly business to be in, and it's not designed for the small players. but we've survived it. We've been in there for 20 years, and an award like this it goes a long way to giving you that little extra drive to push the ego a little bit harder and help you go that few extra yards, you know, so that you can continue and do something a bit better than you were doing before.
Okay, so I'm Christina Carlson from KKK. We have 30 retail stores around Australia and New Zealand, and it's almost like grown-up lolly shops. If you're a stationery freak, you'll love our stores. It's all designed, beautiful stationery. I migrated from Sweden about 13 years ago. Being from another country, starting a business in a second language was definitely a challenge, and also having no business experience was also a challenge. Well, I was really proud to be the winner, but also the team was really proud to be a winner, and also I guess we got lots of publicity, and just being associated with the awards was fantastic. I really respect the lovely Joseph for what he's done for these awards. It's so nice to have been part of it, and I look forward to continue being part of these awards.
Yes, we all thank the lovely Joseph. Isn't he incredible? Look, this is my first time being involved with these awards, and I'm truly amazed and inspired and overwhelmed and blown away, frankly, not only by the stories of determination, of ingenuity, of courage, of absolute doggedness, there's only one way of saying it, but also by the picture that these success stories paint of Australia as a genuine land of opportunity, not just the cliche, not just words, action. The hard work of every man and woman honoured here this evening, like those before them, is supported and rewarded through a uniquely Australian spirit of acceptance, of tolerance, and the notion of a fair go. In this time of global economic turmoil, let's hope that we as Australians can stay focused on the tremendous opportunities and rewards that our immigrant communities can offer. Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the finalists in the medium to large business category. This category features businesses with a turnover greater than $5 million per annum. Let's get to know our finalists. Originally from Italy, a finalist from New South Wales, Gala Wines.
Our wines range from the low-end casks, which we produce small volumes of, to the high-volume yellowtails, which sell for around $10 in Australia, to some of the premiums, such as our Jimmy Watson winner, the Yellowtail Premium, that won the Jimmy Watson in 2004. My father first came to Australia in 1952 as a cane cutter, and he worked the cane fields of North Queensland and picking fruit in Griffith. He didn't have any government aid. He paid his own way. He paid my mother and my older brothers and sisters voyage here. So they had to find work, had to pay back the money they borrowed to come here. What they tried to do is pay back the money that they owed and put some money aside. So in 1965, they purchased this farm that the winery was built on. His intention was just to have a winery big enough to turn his own grapes into wine. He'd had issues with some of the local wineries that were really not paying him what he expected. So at some point he said, I've had enough. I know how to make wine. I'll buy some tanks. He did very well. It at least took him away from having to sell his grapes to other wineries and gave him some extra income to be able to invest in the winery and pay the farm off. Well, from 1994 onwards, there was a major expansion happening at my father's winery, Gala Wines. So by 1995, there was enough work for me to work there full-time, and so I resigned from where I was working and moved back here. And the industry was at that time going through a major boom, an export boom, that had a large requirement for bulk wine and an export market that was looking for bottled wine. So we thought we were ideally positioned to be able to take advantage of both. We had purchased this product called Yellowtail, which was designed by a graphic artist, and went to the Americans and said, here is this Yellowtail product. They were a little sceptical to start with because of the kangaroo design. Well, from estimated sales of 40 to 50,000 cases a year, think we delivered to the USA 1 million cases in 13 months. And today we deliver 8 million cases. We export to something like 40 countries at the moment, but the major markets really are the USA, Canada, Japan, the UK, Germany, Italy. We're the #1 Australian wine in Italy. It's all about keeping our customers happy, keeping our consumers happy, looking at ways of improving our products, looking at ways of increasing our efficiency, and looking at ways of offering better value. I look at the future and say, well, if we did so well under such difficult circumstances, there's no reason why we can't keep doing better, given the resources we have and the success we've had to date. It's a forward-thinking country. It's a country that, with the right attitude, the right work ethic, and the right eye for opportunity, most people can do very well.
A fine family tradition. Originally from Russia, a finalist from South Australia, Expo Trade Proprietary Limited.
Expo Trade is exporting Australian agricultural products to the Russian market. We export frozen meat and meat products, offal, mutton, lamb, kangaroo meat. We also export lamb skins and sheep skins. Well, it was back in 1994, and Russia was in a political and economical crisis. So it wasn't a really great place to bring up children. Because we've been visiting our relatives here and holidaying here, we just felt that we can give a better chance for our children. The first challenge for me was to learn how to speak English. I didn't speak English when I came here. It was very, very hard because imagine me, with my funny accent, calling to supplier and saying, I would like to buy 5 containers of frozen meat, and just silence there. And then, I decided that I have to go personally. So we spent about a month or 2 traveling around country in different states to see all the people that produce meat. So we just go there, and I would sit together with these people and I look in their eyes and I would say, look, let's do business. So that's how I convince people that it's not that scary. Australia is so far away from Russia. By distance, it was hard for people to actually imagine that it can be done. But we proved it can be done, and Australia has great product, and Australia has products that are price competitive. In the beginning, the turnover was $600,000 a year, and then in 3 years' time we reached the sale of $12 million of export sale. Lately we've been involved in exporting live cattle, and we diversified in completely new area just recently. This is supplying advisory services in agriculture to the Russian market. And we believe this could be a very successful business. Australia is a country where it just gives me that chance. This is just, you're sort of free to put your vision and your ideas forward. And if you are hardworking and if you believe that you can, achieve your vision, then of course it's possible.
Originally from India, a finalist from Victoria, Longwarry Food Park.
Longwarry Food Park is a milk processing business. We produce milk powders of different kinds to suit our customers. Our product range is quite specialized, and we're able to customize our products for our customers' specific requirements. Well, I've always wanted to have a good life for the family and children. That's why I decided to migrate to Australia. Well, initially it was quite hard. We were new to the country, and my youngest son had broken his leg when we arrived in Australia. I was working full-time and quite hard. Monday to Friday I was away from home, and my wife barely could speak English. So initial period, first 6 months were really hard. When I was working in a job in Bonlek Foods, I found that I was quite good in what I did, and I thought I should try this out and see if other companies would also use my services in the similar areas. So the business built on from there into equipment manufacture business, which was being done on a turnkey basis. At the same time, Bonlek Foods was getting into financial troubles, and they were selling some of their factories. So we decided to buy one of the plant, which is at Longbury, and the plant and machinery was quite outdated. We specialize in this area of dairy industry, and we brought our plant to a very high level of energy efficiency and also automation. The factory is designed for 2.3 tons per hour of production. Over the last 2 years, we have brought it up from 2.3 tons to 3 tons an hour, and in the next 12 months, we'll take the plant to 4 tons an hour, and that would make this plant really, really efficient in terms of energy and resource usage. Our customers are mainly from Asian countries and Middle Eastern countries. We do export to some countries in Africa also, but our customers are of all kinds. We have people who use milk powder in the manufacture of other products, like biscuit manufacturers. We have people who manufacture liquid milk out of our products. Some of our customers sell our milk powder in sachets as a consumer product, as instant milk powder. This year we won the BRW award for the most successful private business in Australia. We've also won the BRW award for environmental excellence in manufacturing. And over the last 3-4 years, we probably have won another dozen awards in different categories, which relate to either environment, export, or agribusiness as such. I would say that Australia is probably the best place in the world to do a business. Australia, all departments in Australia and Australian people are willing to support anybody who wants to have a go. It's a really good place. People are very friendly. The lifestyle is extremely good. And it's a nice life. It's a nice, secure life.
Originally from Italy, a finalist from the Australian Capital Territory, Big World.
Microforte has really 3 divisions. We make computer games for companies overseas, companies like Microsoft's, Electronic Arts, big corporations, as well as some smaller companies. We migrated in 1970. My dad was an architect draftsman, and he was invited to come to Australia to work for a small firm as a chief architect for building houses in Canberra. Unfortunately for my dad, after a few months of coming to the country, that business went into receivership, so he was unemployed and didn't know how to speak the language. Quite a challenge for him. While I was at university, I had a passion for computer games. I started making computer games on the side. And myself and a group of friends at University of New South Wales, we got together and we decided what we'll do is we'll leave university and would make computer games for a living. We were approached by a particular gentleman. He asked us, can you make computer games for us as a contractor? And of course we had no money, we were students. He told us, make a demonstration of this game for us. We had no computers, we had nothing. So what we decided to do, one guy had a credit card. We went to Grace Brothers, we bought a Commodore 64. We worked 24/7, teams of 2, 3 days flat. We developed this demo. And then on the Monday, we returned it back to Grace Brothers and we got our money back. That's how we started. And these days we make more massively multiplayer online games. So they are games that connect people together and play games in a cooperative or player versus player environment. So we have a division that makes games called Microforte Studios. Then we have another division called Big World, and Big World Technology makes the technology that enables these online games to be created. And the technology is used by companies around the world to make their online games. And then we have a third division, which is Big World Distribution. The Big World company itself is actually market leader in the world. So we have about 40% of the Chinese market for licensing our technology. We also license our technology in Korea, but mainly North America. So the way we went about tackling employment, that was a big issue for us, especially 10 years ago. So what I decided to do was to really create a school system. I created the Academy of Interactive Entertainment, which is a school based in Canberra and in Melbourne. And the AIE is actually helped my company as well as pretty much all of Australia in creating some of the best talent in Australia for animation in games and programming in games. We focused on building a technology park called Canberra Technology Park. It became actually very successful, and we created 3 more. And we took them out of administration, paid out the creditors, built them into profitable businesses. Then we donated them to the ACT government, to the people of Canberra. So in other words, what we were trying to do was give back what we would love to have had 20 years ago. We didn't have that opportunity. Our future of the business would probably be to either do a merger, acquisition, M&A within a larger company, or ideally float on an exchange. Could be an Australian exchange or an overseas exchange, and really grow the business. In Australia, the opportunities are enormous. So the chances of actually making a successful career or a successful business are much higher in Australia than they would be, for example, in Italy.
How about a big round of applause for all of our finalists in the medium to large business category? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the presentation of finalists in this category. My sincerest and deepest congratulations to all our finalists in both categories tonight. Let's put our hands together for everyone. And of course, none of these awards tonight would be possible without the continued support of our incredibly generous sponsors. I'd like you to welcome to the stage the Executive General Manager of Business and Private Banking for the National Australia Bank, Mr. Joseph Healy. Now, Joseph, the Ethnic Business Awards are particularly relevant for the section in the bank that you run.
Well, let me just say, first of all, how honoured and privileged we are to be associated with the Ethnic Business Awards. This is the 20th year that we've been associated with this particular event, and it is something that we look forward to every year. In terms of our business, you know, I am responsible for the bank's small business and mid-sized business across Australia. And of course, the stories that we are hearing tonight are all about small and mid-sized businesses. Small acorns to big trees grow. And it's that simple idea that embodies the commitment that we have to small businesses and mid-sized businesses across Australia, and particularly to the ethnic businesses. Because as you will quickly detect from my own accent, I can qualify as an ethnic candidate here. But listening to the stories of the many, many ethnic businesses that have come to these shores and prospered, and added not only to the commerce and the economics, but also to the richness of our society, is something that every time I hear the stories, I just reflect on how fantastic an achievement and how fantastic a place we have.
And Joseph tells me you're putting your money where your mouth is, and the NAB has increased its contribution this year.
Well, we're delighted to double the size of the awards that are going to the... Yes, absolutely delighted. And as I mentioned in my opening remarks, we're so very proud and very privileged to be associated with this evening and with the efforts of Joseph and Angela in building this. You know, not many things in life get to 20 years in business or in events, so it's a fantastic achievement, and it says so much about what this actually means to business in Australia.
Well done. Well, Mr. Joseph Healy from the National Australia Bank, thank you for your time and your commitment and for your dollars. How about another round of applause? Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm delighted to announce tonight that the winners of the 20th Annual Ethnic Business Awards will receive a BlackBerry Bold, courtesy of Telstra and Research in Motion. Not bad. We've got some more fantastic prizes. 2 business class airline tickets to any destination on the Etihad Airways network, courtesy of Etihad. And as you heard earlier from Joseph Healy from the National Australia Bank, there'll also be that wonderful $10,000 cash prize to go to each of our category winners or to the charity of their choice. And finally, of course, the beautiful handcrafted crystal trophy. All right, our very best wishes to all the finalists. Now, the Honourable Anthony Albanese, Minister for Infrastructure, Transport, Local Government and Leader of the Government in the House, was our guest of honour tonight until the Prime Minister graced us with his presence. He still is, of course, and we'd like to welcome him to the stage. Please welcome Anthony Albanese.
And the winner in the small business category is Red Lantern.
This smile that you see on my face is not going away for a long time, so it's going to be on here for a while. Good evening, distinguished guests and members of the Diplomatic Corps. On this special night, the 20th anniversary of the Ethnic Business Awards, I take a moment to reflect on all the opportunities and successes that have been given to me when becoming an Australian. I have had the good fortune of still retaining my language, my heritage and my links between the Vietnamese community. And of course, the all-important relationship that all Vietnamese people hold with food. I owe most of this to my food-obsessed parents, who are currently in the Mekong Delta at the moment with my cousins, probably eating bushrat snakes and drinking rice wine as we speak. It is such a huge, huge honour to be accepting this award tonight. To the many great sponsors that are supporting these awards, and Mr. Joseph Asseff, you're an inspiration. I'm definitely buying your book, which hasn't been launched yet, by the way. I thank you very much. I'd like to give a big shout out to the Red Lantern team, past and present. I would not be where I am today without the love and support from my best mate and my partner of 10 years, Susanna Boyd. Thank you so much, everyone. It's a real honour and such a privilege to be a part of this. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Good night, and it's such a dream tonight right now. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Luke Nguyen and Red Lantern, winners of the Small Business Award. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd again like to invite the Honourable Anthony Albanese to announce the winner of the Medium to Large Business Category Award.
Thanks. The Prime Minister might have taken my place as the special guest speaker tonight, but I think I've got the very good job of handing out the prizes. So I'm very pleased. I think the Prime Minister it was fantastic to see a Prime Minister giving such a speech in support of multiculturalism and diversity in our community, and I was very privileged to be amongst the audience tonight. That's one thing I have to say. The second thing I have to say is how good will Joseph Asseff's book be once it's actually launched? The winner of the Medium and Large Business Awards is Casella Wines.
I stand here on behalf of my grandfather, Filippo Casella. Unfortunately, tonight he's unable to attend due to ill health. He was unable to travel here tonight, but I know that he would love to be here to accept this absolutely fantastic award, such a prestigious award for him. But 89 years old, there's certain allowances we make for people of that age. Filippo Casella, my grandfather, was a typical immigrant when he arrived in Australia. As many of the other people have said tonight, he came with nothing more than the dream, a dream for a better life for himself and his young family. In spite of the difficulties and the hardships that they faced, they still retained a vision and a determination to build a better life for themselves, to build something for the next generation. I always summarise that they sacrificed their today for our tomorrow. This is truly a family success story, and it is with the utmost pride and joy that I accept it here tonight on behalf of my grandfather. Thank you very much.
As always, it's customary each year to present an Initiative Award. All finalists from both categories are eligible for the Initiative Award, and in this 20th year it will be presented by a supporter of Multicultural Australia, an organisation that we're absolutely delighted to have on board. I'd now like to invite to the stage Mr Peter Jamieson, Executive Director of Business Planning and Compliance for Telstra.
Thanks very much, Tracy. Passion, courage, determination and ingenuity. They're the words that have come to mind tonight as I've watched these amazing stories unfold before us. I'm very proud, as a representative of a great company of Australia, Telstra, to be here tonight and to be associated with these Ethnic Business Awards. A real celebration of the ethnic diversity in our community. But they also give us that great entrepreneurial spirit which we've heard a lot about tonight, as well as the richness of their cultures. And it's a testament to all people of Australia that we live together peacefully, where all aspects of all culture are celebrated and embraced by all of us. On behalf of Telstra, I'd like to congratulate all winners tonight, all finalists and all winners, and thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of this and present this award. Thank you. And the winner of this very special Initiative Award tonight is the HEMA Group.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight is such honourable and special night in my life. I thank you all for being here to share and celebrate my achievement. I thank you, Australia, to give me such a great opportunity to accomplish my dream, the place we are now called home. Thank you.
Congratulations to John Dew from the HEMA Group, and thank you for that heartfelt speech. That was just magnificent. Thanks also to Telstra's Peter Jamieson for his words and support of the awards. How about a round of applause for Peter? Well, what better way to end this evening than by recognising and rewarding initiative? After all, at heart, that's what these awards are all about. I'm sure we've all been excited and deeply moved by the stories we've heard tonight. I know I have. And I know that next year we'll have even more finalists and more stories, all just as impressive to tell. Once again, my congratulations to all our nominees, finalists and winners. I want to extend special thanks to Joseph Asif, the founder and principal backer of these awards. You really are an extraordinary individual, Joseph. You should be immensely proud of tonight. Also, special thanks to our presenters, performers and participants. Finally, to you, our guests, representatives from the worlds of business, politics and Australian society at large. Another big thank you. The enthusiasm of your support tonight is an affirmation of the fact that the business endeavours of immigrant communities in Australia will continue to enjoy a huge groundswell of admiration and support. I thank you all for allowing me to share this incredible occasion with you. My thanks once again to our amazing sponsors, National Australia Bank, Telstra, Etihad Airways, Austrade, the Four Seasons Hotel Sydney, MBF, Astra Limousines, SBS, Australia Network, Aurora Community Channel, Singtao, Shujung, Indian Link, Sydney Korean Herald, TVB Jade World and El Telegraph. Also, a special thanks to our hosts for this magnificent venue and their wonderful hospitality. So now, from the Four Seasons Hotel on the beautiful foreshore of Sydney, Australia, I bid you good evening.
Thanks for watching the Ethnic Business Awards. Please join us again next year for the 21st edition.